Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. We shall wait for like 10 minutes more, and then we will start the session. Am I audible now, Ritik? Ritik, can you hear me now? हेलो यस जी कौन बात कर रहे हैं अच्छा मैं नैना बात कर रही हूँ ग्लोबलाइजर से आपने सेशन एक 8 बजे की सेशन का रजिस्टर किया था हाउ टू पब्लिश रिसर्च पेपर बस तो सेशन का रिमाइंडर कॉल हाँ जी प्लीज अटेंड द सेशन होप यू हैव गॉट द रजिस्ट्रेशन लिंक Hello everybody, thanks for joining. Like I said, let's wait till 8 and then we shall start the session. Thank you for your patience. Hi Saket, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
So we are waiting till 8:05 and then we shall start.
Yeah, absolutely.
I joined early only.
Yeah,
Okay. So 5 more minutes, is it okay?
absolutely.
Hello everybody. So we will be starting in a minute. We are waiting for Prashant sir and then we will be starting. Okay. Hi, Saket. Prashant sir is about to join in a minute.
Mhm.
Hi. Can you hear me, Saket?
Yes, 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 I can. Hi, Nana. Hi, everyone else.
So
And
thank you for your
welcome.
patience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Prashant sir is coming in a minute. In a minute.
Mhm.
And how are you? So it's a Saturday morning for you.
Yeah, it's good. It's going good. I had my breakfast. It's a sunny day, which is rare for where I am,
Uh-huh.
Providence.
Rhode
But
Island.
yeah, yeah. And it's a sunny day. It's kind of warm. So going good so far. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Thank you, everyone, for joining on a Saturday night.
Yes. But here, like we are from MP, so
Mhm.
here they have started 9 p.m. Like
Yeah,
shutdown kind of kind of.
yeah. The
Hmm.
cases are going up, right? And
Yeah, always like
Mhm.
it is the same since starting.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it is going up, but it is like that only. We have it's new
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, I hope the shutdowns stop and the cases go down. I mean, I haven't been home in a while,
Hmm.
so I
Yeah,
would also like to go there. I'm from
yeah.
Chhattisgarh, by the way,
Chhattisgarh, right?
everyone.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember. Yeah, from
yeah.
Chhattisgarh. Raipur or Bilaspur?
Raipur. Yeah,
Raipur, Raipur.
Raipur.
Okay. Let me check with sir.
Good morning, Saket.
Yes.
Hey, good
Prashant sir is
evening,
here.
Prashant. How are you?
I'm really doing good, Saket. Thank you so much for
Nice.
joining in, and I hope everything is good and safe with you.
Absolutely. And likewise. Yeah.
Yeah, think things
Yeah.
are not the best here for sure. You know,
Yeah.
uh, India is seeing a very big bouncing back of the virus, and
Yeah.
the Maharashtra is really facing a very
Yeah.
worst time right now.
That's like tragic and also a bit scary. So I hope everyone is safe. But yeah,
Yeah,
the
can't do
times we live in.
absolutely. So, of course, officially and formally welcoming Saket in today's session, and thanking Nana for organizing this, and thanking our audience, who for joining in and trying to understand that how important today's webinar would be, and of course, a recorded version would continue to help fellow generations who would continue to watch this on the YouTube and other social media platforms. Um, uh, the webinar is something that we start webinars, this whole series of webinars we started doing, Saket, right from the last lockdown, right? Where
Okay.
we engaged
Yeah.
our alumni and all the notable people like you. And the idea was to spread as much awareness as possible. And
Amazing.
it has been superbly helpful because students keep telling us that we saw that video on the YouTube, and that's how we
Wow.
understood what is the difference between MIS, NBA, and short and all the big sort of doubts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this today's topic is something which is super relevant, and specifically in India, where we see this real research taking place in hardly 0.01% of the institutes,
Yeah.
maybe IISc or maybe at IITs.
Mhm.
So in that context, the lot of students remain ignorant about the whole concept of doing research work, and doing even small research work, how much time it takes, what should we
Yes.
do. So
Yeah.
definitely, we feel so fantastic to have you today on the platform, and
Mhm.
it would be great, Saket, if we can start the webinar by having your brief introduction from yourself.
Sure. Sure.
Yes.
So thank you, Prashant, for giving me the opportunity, first of all, to talk to people here. And a brief introduction of myself is that I graduated from IIT Bombay in 2014. I did my undergrad in computer science. Then I worked at LinkedIn. So I'm hoping everyone's heard of the social media site LinkedIn. I worked there as a machine learning engineer, which was kind of a mix of engineering and research. And then I did my master's in artificial intelligence at UMass Amherst in 2017. And in 2019, I joined the PhD program at Brown, which is on the slide right there. So, and right now I work in artificial intelligence. I work a bit with robots, a bit with simulated experiments, and everything that is in between. Yeah.
Amazing, and probably an absolute ideal student for all the aspirants, towards AI or ML, or would like to build their career abroad, and of course,
Mm.
and so Saket, to
Mm.
tell you about us, and also we just finished a small celebration in the office where today we are now like we completed our 14 years today.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so as a company, and it's been more than 5,000 students we've helped recruit right across the globe.
Mhm.
Uh, and of course, just giving you an example that Paki was one of our students, which was one of the first Harvard admit in immunology masters. Then, we understood the game, and then the Kanupriya, and then Indriyu, then so on. So it's been a great journey, and the idea has been very simple that, to really authentically help students as much as we can when it comes to, their study abroad dreams.
Right.
So before we really move ahead, I have a very generic question, which
Sure.
I usually ask my other guest speakers also off the track. For
Mhm.
you, you were from IIT Bombay, and you were working in LinkedIn. Everything was great. Why did you think of doing your masters in United States,
Sure.
or
So,
why masters? At the first place.
yeah, the biggest motivation for me was that I was interested in research. And while I was at IIT Bombay, due to some of the factors that you mentioned, I wasn't exposed to it as much. And also, interestingly, 2014 to 2017 was the time when research and the industry level applications of artificial intelligence changed a lot. And
Oh,
that's when there was a revolution, and there are a few prominent papers from then which captured everyone's imagination. So I was fortunate enough to be witnessing that change. And I felt like here's something that's changing the world, here's a revolution. And to be part of it, the best way I can contribute to it would be to go do a master's, get expertise in this field. So that was my main motivation, to get expertise in a field that I really like. Yeah.
excellent, excellent.
Not to say there aren't other ways, but that works best for me. Yeah. To gain expertise is a master's.
Excellent. And of course, UMass Amherst has an excellent data science and ML department. Is that so?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like top 10 in artificial intelligence. And the field that I work in, which is called reinforcement learning, UMass Amherst is the birthplace of that field. So
Wow,
that was an added incentive to going there. Yeah.
amazing. So, Saket, I mean, students who would want to go for MS, of course, some make their plans right after third year, right? Some make their plans right after
Yes.
second year. So,
Mhm.
in a general sense,
Mhm.
students, very naively, they tell us that, sir, I want to build a profile, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to building a profile, CGPA, GRE, and maybe a couple of projects and maybe one or two interns, that's we talk.
Mhm.
And then when this is that I want to publish research papers, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Then probably, of course, we can tell them that go and collaborate with a professor or a faculty and,
Mhm.
do this. But overall, first step and, the first question is what is actually, publishing a review article or research paper is all about.
Absolutely. So the most important thing you're doing when you're publishing is that you are extending human knowledge just by a bit. And it might sound intimidating at first that, oh, I'm extending human knowledge, but extending it just by a bit in a very particular field is something that everybody can do. And to write that up in an approachable manner, to write that up in a way that helps other people, that's what publishing is all about, right? And that, in my opinion, should be the main goal when you set out to publish something or set out to build up your research profile, right? And when it comes to doing that, of course, the advice you give is solid, Prashant, that talking to professors will help, and talking to maybe senior PhD students or senior researchers will help. Sometime even just dropping a cold email to someone that you think might be interested in your field of research also helps. But I definitely believe that in India, there is a lot of opportunity for students to publish, and that too without a lot of supervision or professors involvement, and people can do that. It's just that to some extent people lack the basics of how to approach this problem of publishing.
Okay, okay. So in a sense, what should be the first step, Saket, for the students? Let's say if somebody in second year or third year, how should they plan,
Yeah,
right from the beginning?
right. So this is how I approached it when I decided to apply for a master's. That first you decide what's an area that interests you. And when you decide on that area, you should also see how equipped you are to publish in that area or to do anything meaningful in that area, right? Me being a computer scientist, I cannot obviously say that, oh, I'll do research in agriculture science,
Mhm.
right? It might be of interest, but the skills don't align. And then the next step is to figure out the avenue or the venue where you want to publish. So that can be a bit tricky. And the thing that helps the most, at least initially to students, is Googling stuff. Just go out and Google different journals, different conferences, talk to your professors, go to your professor's webpage, try to find out what are these conferences that you want to publish. Then you try and read a few things there to get a sense of, okay, I am now interested in this area. What are people talking about in this area and what interests me in this area? So that would be the very first step. Figure out an area of research, go check out the work in that area, and try to figure out what is that small increment in human knowledge that you want to add.
So,
Mhm.
is there a need for a student to like identify a problem and then try to work on it, build a project, and then write a paper? Is this a way?
It is something that I followed, and the main reason I did that was and this is again like there's a slight distinction in which people approach this kind of a thing. Some prefer that they're given a problem by the professor, right? Which is absolutely fair because they have been working in the field for decades now and they know a lot more, and which area requires the student's attention and where does the student's skill set match. A professor can do that very well. But for me, what was important was that I picked a problem which interested me deeply so that I would be motivated enough to publish and keep working on it. But to uh, put to provide a flip side, yes, definitely. If the professor can provide you guidance in terms of, or a senior PhD student again can provide you guidance in terms of, okay, let's do research in this area, let's target this conference, that is also super helpful. Yeah.
Great, great. And Nana, can we have the next slide? Uh, there are a lot of journals, Saket,
Yeah.
right? So of
Yeah.
course, people might be able to identify a problem, work on it for 6 months and all. And it's a pity, but even just to on a very frank note, students are being told by some professors itself here, or maybe someone that, okay, send us a paper and we're getting it published, and
Right,
sometimes there is a commercial exchange,
right,
so
right, right.
how is that, like, one of the ways to just for the heck of writing in the resume or putting
Yeah.
up in the application, is those universities, do even they understand that this is going on?
So on the part that there's all this shady business going on, there is something which is now being referred to as uh, predatory journals. So these journals will reach out to you saying that, oh, give us money, or just give us your name and a professor's name and we'll publish something in your behalf, and you can put it on your CV, right? But the reality is, sure, you can do that, but when it comes to admissions, professors in the US and elsewhere are very well equipped to understand, okay, this is a real publication and this is a predatory journal where someone did that. So again, for the students, you might think it has value, but the reality is not, it does not, right? So to answer the bigger question, how to understand or weigh journal quality, right? There is a very simple metric which is called the acceptance rate, right? So I, for example, in 2019, I published in AAAI, which is the American Association of Artificial Intelligence. It's a conference, and the acceptance rate there is 5%, right? Which is 1 in 20 papers are accepted, which is not meant to discourage people, but I'm saying that tells you that, oh, this is a very high quality conference, and getting your paper accepted there will give you a certain level of prestige and a certain level of acceptance and recognition. Yeah. So yeah, that is what I think of all this other shady business going on in the academic industry. Yeah.
Right. So is there a kind of a link or some place where the students can get the information about the various journals and the acceptance rate that they can find? Or let's say you were in India also. So in
Mhm.
India, if you might want to suggest some names or some journals or some
Mhm.
conferences, if you have on the top of your head.
Absolutely. So I can point to two major things that happen, two major computer science journals that are very active in India, right? And of course, I can only speak about computer science because I work in that field.
Right.
One is the IEEE. So IEEE is a global organization, and they accept papers from everywhere, and they have workshops and they have conferences and they have journals specific to India. So people listening to this, please check it out, right? And they're like, again, standardized, globally recognized. They're not at all predatory, fairly high in terms of prestige. The other one is ACM. ACM is also, again, very famous and maybe slightly more prestigious than IEEE. And again, not at all predatory, high recognition, high prestige level. And people should check out what are the different workshops they are offering in India or elsewhere, because given COVID, you can just attend a conference anywhere now. Or they have topic specific conferences as well, ACM, which are like ACM conference on internet, ACM conference on artificial intelligence, on cryptography, on databases, all of that, right? So please check these two out. And for other things, I would recommend that just go to the famous professors in the field and try to see what conferences they publish to.
Mm. Okay, so
Hope
yeah,
that
so it's
answers.
basically, yes, IEEE, ACM,
Mhm.
and then following all the notable professors in the field and keeping a
Yes,
track of their graphy, all the work that they
yes,
have done.
yes. What venues are they publishing at? What journals are they going to? Yeah.
Excellent, question, and that's also sometimes I feel because research is possibly, even you said that you have to make a small dent in that circle,
Human, yeah.
yeah, human knowledge. But I think even that is also going to require a certain amount of effort and the time. So,
Mhm.
what do you think? I mean, is it possible for a UG student to really realistic enough that they should can they publish papers, or should they focus mostly on projects only?
I definitely think that it is very realistic for UG students to publish, right? And this is sort of the thing that I've noticed, like a difference between the undergrad students I meet here and my own undergrad. And I was from a reasonably good institute while doing my undergrad. And I still think that the attitude that people have in undergrad towards research in America is different. And that helps a lot. And the reason why I say, by means of an example to say, how can a UG student publish? You take up a course. Let's say you take up a course in artificial intelligence. You go through the homeworks, you go through the assignments, you try to understand different things. And if you're paying any attention, which most of us do, and come on, it's artificial intelligence, it's an interesting topic, it's the stuff of science fiction, right? You're paying attention, there will be something in there that clicks for you, that you will think about uniquely, and that's what you should pursue. That's my advice to people, and that's what I've seen here. Like, they pursue that, and they reach out to professors, they reach out to PhD students, they collaborate with people, they learn how to write, how to do proper scientific experiments. And I definitely think all of this is possible in India for our undergrad students. Yeah.
Excellent. Nana, can we have the next question? Yeah, I think so. Probably this Saket already answered that. One of the first step is to really, understand the problem, or maybe the area that they want to work on.
Mm.
Then I think we can have the next question.
If
I mean,
I may
yeah,
add
please.
one thing to point four, question four,
Yes.
Prashant.
Yes.
I think one thing to look out for is the timeline. So when you have decided your area and your conference, I would recommend people go and check when is the paper due, right? Because these workshops and conferences will accept paper only once or twice a year. So,
Okay.
for example, I am targeting May 27th deadline for a conference, right? So I'll
Okay.
work backwards from there. I'll say that, okay, 3 months before this, I should have my idea concretized. I do math related research. So I'll say, okay, 2 months before May 27th, which is now, I should have my math written down. 1 month before it, I should have some idea of experiments and I should start writing. So always plan backwards from that conference deadline. And trust me, that works, and you can publish if you do that step by step. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So I think that's probably a very important thing when we say that when they are undergrad students, apart from their attendance and those all pressures,
Yeah.
and maybe GRE, CAT, whatever they are doing,
Right.
for such stuff, there has to be a timeline so that they can at least see some fruits of all the efforts that they will be putting on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
of course, you did your bachelor's and you did your master's and PhD. So, what was your experience as far as applying to MS, like, and then applying for a PhD,
Yeah.
program? And what got you the admission in MS and then PhD?
Yeah. So I think I can answer it from two perspectives. One is from the guy applying it, and also the second one is here, at least at Brown, after your PhD, you're allowed to screen some of the applications,
Wow.
right? So I can answer from both those
Yes.
perspectives. So
Yes.
what got me in, I think, was definitely a big factor was my research experience in both masters and PhD, right? And the second thing which mattered were the recommendations that I got, right? And that mattered quite a bit. And third was, of course, my kind of which college I was coming from, how did I do academically there. But if I were to rate them in order, I would definitely say research experience or my publications, or even publications which weren't accepted but were in progress. Two are the recommendations, and three is my academic performance, right? So that's what I have understood being on either side of the curtain.
Excellent.
So
So,
yeah.
yeah, please, Kevin.
Yeah, so I think that if people are looking to join a research school for master's or PhD, please try to publish something. And even if you fail, and not that I'm setting people up for failure, but even if you're not successful to publish, you will have a draft ready. You will have a good recommendation from a professor who has seen you tackle a problem, right? And now they have good things to write about you. So it's very important to at least try to publish. Yeah.
So probably these, one there are two things which I really pick. One is you
Mhm.
said that even if you have published a paper, even if you
Mhm.
have worked on it, is that also like kind of countable, or you can utilize this thing to your advantage?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a section in resumes and even in applications online, not all the places, where they ask, okay, please put down your research experience, even if it is under review. So you can say that, sure, this paper is under review, it's being changed, but I worked on it, I have written it up, I'm communicating it. That's one point. And the second is, you would have worked with someone on it and they would have noticed that, oh, this guy can do research or this girl can do research. And that should be very helpful in your PhD application. Yeah.
Excellent. And as we see that you might have screened also like few applications and PhD. So when you say that applying to a research school, right? So how students should be able to really differ between a program which is more industry oriented and a
Mhm.
program which is, or a university which is all research oriented, like as they say, all the UCs, in US are research focused, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes the students are just in the awe and the fascination of the UC brand, right? And
Right.
without having any sort of research profile or background, they just go and apply based on maybe a GRE or a CGPA, right?
Right. Right.
So how students should really take that informed decision that
Right.
this school is right for me and this school isn't.
Right. So that comes down to, one is, what goals do you have in terms of your career, right? I am definitely biased. I think everyone should have a research goal and try to
I agree.
pursue that at some point. But it's absolutely fair. And I respect that, and I was doing that, to have a career goal which says that, okay, I need to get into the industry, into a good job in the industry, right? And I have lots of friends who are at likes of Google, Facebook, Uber, name it, and they're there, right? But there the caveat again is that research experience matters even there. Like it's not necessary to get a job in one of these prestigious places, but if you have some sort of a research experience, it shows that, okay, you can think deeply about problems. And these big companies are again at the cutting edge of technology, and they need people who can function at that cutting edge, right? And if you have some sort of a research experience, they will show you higher preference, they will be more likely to hire you. And especially the way things are changing with artificial intelligence, right? There are more and more people applying and there are fewer jobs, and what helps you stand out is research experience. So in that sense, I think it is very helpful to have that. Now, coming to the question of how do you screen for schools, right? I agree that UCs are famous for their research oriented programs and also for great weather. But there are lots of other schools as well, people that do research. And if that's not your interest, then definitely reach out to people at different schools and try to find out which have better career opportunities. Because this is what I have felt again. Finding a good job in the US sometimes boils down to how well connected your school is to different organizations. For example, Northeastern might not be the top research school, but it is so well connected. Their career fair is so well done, and the kind of people they bring in for hiring is so diverse and so robust, their whole pipeline, that I highly recommend it if you're thinking of an industry job. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, put up perfectly, almost resonated with my thoughts that
Mhm.
students definitely can look for ranks, uh,
Mhm.
but they should also realize that most of these ranks, and their methodology. What is your opinion on ranking? A very interesting point. I mean,
Yeah. So um, I'll be honest, and definitely ranking matters, right? That it does show well on your resume and people think about it. But at the same time, when it comes to research, right, the rank itself is not a complete demonstration of how well the school is, because there could be professors there who are doing great work and who have something called,
you got mute,
oops,
Saket. Yes,
sorry,
no problem.
I'm unmuted now.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, Basically, there are professors in these so-called low-ranked schools who have an amazing H index, who have done groundbreaking work. For example, my field, reinforcement learning, right? UMass rank will be maybe 10 to 20 in terms of computer science master's program, right? But there are professors there who are like the top 3 or 4 in terms of their worldwide, in terms of their research, right? So there are those people. And if you can get into a college advice and get advisory by these top professors, then your career is golden. You could choose to go to industry, you can choose to go to um, any other PhD program, you can do whatever. But as long as you can be at the right place under the right professor, under their guidance, and do well, you're golden. That's what I think when it comes to ranking. Then there are other things than plain ranking. Yeah.
And what do you think? I mean, what it takes to do a PhD? Suddenly,
Mhm.
the way we talk about the scientific temperament, or
Mhm.
maybe the kind of mental strength which requires one to really sail through these
Yeah.
testing years.
Yeah.
So, when students should really think that, okay, they are meant for research or not, this is also a very fundamental question.
Absolutely. And a great question. So that's a question I used to ask myself a lot, and to some extent still try to answer, right? And for me, it like the first sort of idea I got of a PhD was when I was working at LinkedIn. My boss was a guy who had gotten a PhD from Boston University, working in artificial intelligence way back in 2001, 2002, which is kind of cool that, all the way back then he was doing that. And he told me, Saket, the most important thing of PhD, or whether you should do a PhD or not, is that are you willing to commit 4 to 5 years to a single question, to answering a single question? And it might seem a bit intimidating, maybe a bit boring at first, but once you get a taste of doing that, to really think deeply about a question, you start to like it. And that is what matters the most, your ability to try and answer a single question. That doesn't mean that, oh, I'll be reading one thing all through the 5 years, because you'll read like 10 different fields, you'll do so many things, you'll meet great people, you'll be surrounded by smart people while you try to answer that one question. And that, in my opinion, is the single biggest factor when it comes to deciding whether you or me or anyone else should be doing a PhD or not.
Excellent. And why
Yeah.
people have this sweeping assumption,
Mhm.
Saket, that for computer science industry, PhD might be an overqualification from industry perspective.
I honestly don't know, because one is that I think every year the most number of PhDs are in computer science, and the reason for that is in America, and the reason for that is because there are so many jobs post a PhD. And if I may, toot my own horn, as they say, the pay grade that you enter after a PhD is higher than a master's or an undergrad, right? And sure, we can argue that, oh, 5 years you won't make the same money and so on. But the pay grade that you enter at say a company like Google, for example, my friend just graduated from his PhD, and he's joining Google. Meanwhile, his wife, who's been working there for what, 3 or 4 years now, not to say that she's underqualified, she's amazing and very smart, but the guy got a package which is almost 1.5 times his wife, who's already working there, both of the same age. Not of course there are other gender pay gap issues, but the guy is honestly very qualified. And that's what happens if you get the right PhD in the right school under the right professor. Yeah.
And while students are in their masters, such as, for example, at Northeastern, right?
Mhm.
Do they also stand some chances for a decent PhD admissions?
Absolutely. Like I have a colleague here at Brown who comes from who did his master's at Northeastern and is now working in, I think, cryptography. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that is very common. And again, Northeastern might be seen as a shop by many people, but Northeastern also has a massive department with great professors who publish at top venues. And you don't even need to publish with some of them. One recommendation from them can get you into a lot of PhD programs.
A lot of
So I think absolutely, as long as while you're at Northeastern, you're willing to take the steps required to do research, I think it is entirely possible. Yeah.
And Saket,
Mhm.
we talk about students express their interest these days in the statement of purpose, and out
Mhm.
of 10 SOPs, 7 would write like this, that I would want to focus my master's in AI, comma, ML and data science.
Yes.
So you can
Yes.
just put a little bit of light how broad to specific this statement is, and they think
Yes.
that, of course, they all, which is the subsection, which is the mother, and how to really
Mhm.
explain this whole 3 4 key
Yes.
terms and the differentiation.
Absolutely. So first of all, there is the question that do I want to be specific, or do I want to keep my intent broad and general, right? I appreciate people being more specific, and so does the admissions committee, because it tells you that, oh, you've thought about what is good at our school and what you are interested in, right? So that helps. And now coming to how specific or broad the terms AI, ML, and data science are, as someone working in artificial intelligence, people please do not use these three terms interchangeably. It hurts. Basically, artificial intelligence deals with the idea of, okay, here's human intelligence, and here we have computers with all this programming software. How do we, replicate human intelligence in using computers? That's the thing. Now, machine learning deals with the problem of learning, right? It is about how do you ensure that the computer keeps performing better and better through the process of learning. And you might see very different definitions elsewhere, but this is my take, and I know a thing or two about these things. And then there is data science. Now, data science is all about finding patterns in data, right? And clearly these things can intersect. For example, like take intelligence, human intelligence. We find pattern in data, right? We see pattern in things, and that could be construed as being artificial intelligence. But at a fundamental level, data science can also reveal things which human intelligence cannot. And that's why where the distinction lies, and so on. You can take any pair of those two and you'll find commonalities and distinction, but end of the day, they're distinct things.
Now I think there's decent level of clarity, because that's where students, they know these hot terms and topic, and then
Yeah,
they want to do MS, and then when you do an MS, it is never only one field. There might be 10 courses that you might have to take, and
right.
so another question that I have, how to really strategize the course selection during masters, a little bit of
Mhm.
on that.
Right. So one thing that I highly recommend, and which people are not aware of going into the masters, are independent studies, right? And these independent studies are basically when you work one with a senior PhD student or a professor, and
Okay.
you try to come up with a solution for a research problem. So one, it gives you the credit you require for your masters, and two, it gives you the required research experience, or hopefully a good recommendation in the future, right? That's one thing. Now the other part is that almost all universities have requirements that you need to do: one from artificial intelligence, one from theory, computer science theory, one course, and one from uh, something like system engineering, right, which is databases or electronics related courses, right? And these three fields might change for you depending on your topic. I'm talking specifically about computers, right? So you have to check those out. What I would recommend is focus on whatever field you are interested in. I was interested in AI, so I would do most of them in AI and take courses that would tick off the other boxes. But if you are someone, say, from an electronics background and coming into computer science, so in that case, what you'll need is a more balanced resume, so that it shows, okay, now I have read like all these diverse topics in computer science and I'm able to grasp them. But me being from computer science undergrad, I have sort of the luxury to say that, okay, I can focus on AI, but I have done theory and system engineering in my undergrad. Hope that answers it. Yeah.
Excellent. And Saket, you're from AI. So
Mhm.
students do ask us that, of course, we have now started finding MS in data science separate programs, right?
Right.
Uh, where do you think there are some programs dedicated to AI masters, like masters in artificial intelligence? I know hardly a couple of them. Maybe if
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, one I think is offered by CMU, I guess.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And the other one that I know is North Texas. They also have an MS in AI. But I mean, these
Mhm.
are the two institutions that I'm aware.
And then there is, just to quickly add on, I think Mila is an institute in Canada, in Montreal. They are offering that, right? And now think even IIT Gandhinagar is trying to offer an MTech in artificial intelligence. But yes, there are very few of these. And there is a distinction again between MS in data science and MS in AI,
Yeah.
right? And when it comes to like the practical utility of it, it all boils down to how good the school is. Like you do MS in AI at CMU, you're golden. CMU is, like top notch, and you know that they have their program together and they'll have their things together. And this kind of a shift that we are seeing, right? This is kind of similar to what, not exactly the same, but similar to what happened between EC and computer science.
Yes.
So if you look at professors at IITs who are very old, like 65 plus, most of them would have had a degree in EC with some sort of specialization in computer science. And now in history, we are at the same place where, these two things are diverging, that there is computer science, there is AI, but probably when it comes to the academic program, they'll begin to be separate programs. So I think we are at that sort of point in history.
Okay, so gradually the program would start evolving, I guess.
Yes, hopefully. And there will be overlap, just the way there is overlap between EC and computer science. There will be overlap between computer science and AI, but they will start to diverge a bit, and maybe for a good reason. Yeah.
Great. What are any Nana? Do we have the next question? Yes. Uh,
Mhm.
yes. Again, a small light on this. How are papers and conferences
Yeah.
weighed universities and
So we briefly kind of discussed this once. One is that papers and conferences will be the university's number one thing that they look at when they're looking at your profile, right? And most of the time for masters, people don't have those, so people just skip it. But if you have that extra edge, it puts you ahead, right? Now, coming to how will they do it, remember, universities and professors are very smart. They know if you have published to a predatory journal or a journal which doesn't, hold a lot of weight, and they will catch on to it. And when it comes to ranking them, just Google the thing. Top ranked AI conferences. If you can publish in any top 10, you're good, right? Or even if you can publish in any top 5 in India or your subfield, they're good. So essentially, this is how it goes. Journal papers first, conference paper, and then there are workshop papers. So within conferences, you have workshops, right? And you can submit your paper to the workshop, and these workshops accept like papers which are half the size of conference papers. So conference papers would be 8 pages, workshop papers can be 4 pages.
wow.
So please, people, I'm seeing like people from triple IT Delhi at workshops, from IITs at workshop, and workshops are meant for exploratory preliminary work by undergrad students. So target those as well. They're ranked lower than journal or conference paper, but they still give you an edge. Yeah,
Excellent. So I think workshop is something which is very much doable. There is no excuse that why there's no workshop being done by these things, right?
absolutely. Like attending the workshop or putting in a paper in the workshop, that is a very doable thing for everyone. Yeah.
Great, great, great. Students, please start putting up your questions in the chat box. Nana, can we have the next question? Yes. What are the key factors? If at all they
Mhm.
go on to write a paper or a workshop paper or a conference paper, what do you
Mhm.
think they should be doing things that it gets accepted at least?
Sure. So one key factor which is at the top of people's mind is novelty. Like how novel is your idea or how novel is your approach, right? The second thing, which is also almost equally important, is the writing style, right? And there are fundamental differences in the writing styles in India and in the US, right? And due to whatever cultural hegemony reasons, everyone is shifting to the American style of writing, right? So these are two key things that you need to focus on. One, novelty of your idea, that's something your professor can help you with. And two is the writing style, which you need to develop a bit by bit over time. But you can also use things like Grammarly to polish your paper. You can get people to just do it a pass and tell you if they understand. So those two are very important things.
Okay, so of course the language and
Mm.
the idea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. And how to, rank or rank out professors or labs uh,
Mhm.
when it comes to, universities in terms of their research and
Mhm.
what best fits the student.
So this I would recommend students do it the same way the professors do it to us, right?
Okay.
You look at, okay, how many journal papers does the lab or professor have? Because they'll have that page where they list all their publications. How many top venues, how many papers at top venues does the lab or professor have, right? And then also, okay, is the professor publishing at a predatory conference? That is a bit messed up, so don't apply there, right?
Oh,
And when it comes to the best fit, look for your topic area, or it's sometimes it becomes very hard to find a good fit university and a good professor, so you can negotiate a bit and also leave some ground in terms of your uh, area of interest fit. You can go to the professor and discuss, oh, my area is this, but yours is that. Should I apply here or not? And most of the times, 99% of the time, professor will say that please apply here. I'm interested in your area and I want to work in that area, as long as they're remotely related. Yeah.
excellent. And, for us also, Saket, we would want to have
Mhm.
your guideline on this. What's the best university paragraph in a statement of purpose should look like? Because the student
Mhm.
talk about rank, then they would talk about these two courses, then they would talk about that I am interested in the lab of this professor. So of course, the idea might be to really talk about that. What is your understanding of his work? But having your idea on that is it's going to be really insightful for all of us.
So the most important paragraph for me is the paragraph where the student establishes their interest. And when I say establish, you cannot merely state it. You have to provide me, as someone looking at these applications, you have to provide me some evidence that you're interested in this area, say artificial intelligence, and you have taken some risk and you have put in the hard work effort of understanding it better. So that paragraph alone is the most important. And you could have things like, okay, I'm interested in it and I have taken these courses, attended this workshop, tried to publish in this area under this subfield, and that is what sort of matters to me. Yeah.
And the university paragraph, what should be the
Hmm.
focus while talking about the university?
When talking about the university, I think the most important thing, and this is a practical consideration, people, is to sort of flame their ego, to recognize that, oh, I have researched my way through your university, because these people get what? 300. My university got 600 to 700 applications for Ph.D. this year, right? So they want to see evidence that, okay, you're not like, just spraying your application everywhere. You're not applying to like 20, 30 places which are doing any kind of research. So be specific that, oh, your university is so good. There is this lab which has this professor, and this is such a unique place, and show why they're unique and why your interest aligns with the university's interest. Yeah.
It should not sound very generic, so they'll get an
Yeah,
idea then. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
fantastic. I think we do have some questions for you, Sake.
Absolutely. Yeah. Happy to answer them.
Yes. So Sarthak has a question.
Mhm.
Does prior communication regarding a research with professor can help you in getting a particular university?
Oh, that's a great point. That's how I got into my university. Thank you, Sarthak, for reminding me that. So basically, I was at AAAI and I met a professor from Brown University over there, and I told him about my research and my interest. And I met him at a workshop, by the way. And that's how they looked at my profile for PhD, right? So yes, that is very important. That I think I would rank it up there with your publications, that if you've had some communication through email, through face-to-face conversation or a Zoom call, right? That communication is very important.
Amazing, amazing. And that's what probably, in another words, research networking that way.
Mhm.
Amazing.
And that's not like an easy line of communication to establish. It's very feasible, it is very possible, but you need to show some effort that you put into that field of research to establish that line of communication. Okay.
Great, great. And then Paris has a question: how to look for an area of interest while approaching a topic for
Mhm.
research, especially in computer science?
Mhm. So there are two ways of looking at it. One is that one has to do with uh, Normandy. So when you know why the Allied forces landed on Normandy in World War II, because it was a slightly underprotected beach, which sounds a bit morose, but when you're looking for an area of interest, try to look for an underexplored area which is easy to penetrate into, right? Just like Normandy. So that is an important consideration. Something you can work in with little effort, but not very little, but still a little effort. And that should be a very important thing. And the second one is the usual that I tell everyone, that find an area where you will be willing to work for a very long time and give a lot of time and effort into it, and that you just enjoy doing. So those are two important considerations. One is a practical one, and the other is the more romantic one. Yes.
Got it, got it. Sarthak has another question. Would review paper be sufficient to get into good universities, or research papers from scratch would increase more chances of acceptance?
So I can't give you like an either or answer, because I think review papers are very valuable, because when you're doing a review paper, right?
You're still
Uh,
making effort.
exactly. And you're still increasing human knowledge, because you're like putting all this, years of research into one paper for someone else to read. So you're increasing human knowledge. You're presenting it in a new format. So that demonstrates that you can do something novel in the field and present ideas and collate them. So I can't give an either or answer. Yeah.
What was your GRE score, Saket, if at all you gave?
I did give it, I don't remember it very well. I think 331 or something, 332, something like that. But
That
yeah,
that's
yeah,
crazy. It's my personal, because I've been a GRE mobile trainer, so I
yeah.
I had to ask. And in the similar context, Tharthak is asking that the analytical writing score,
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
role, of course, quant score is definitely computer science departments are
Yes.
going to look into it. But how
Hmm.
about any importance that, as far as you know about the analytical writing scores?
So one is that there are hard and fast thresholds on the analytical, on the writing section of that at certain universities, especially for PhD, because you need to show that you can write well. And that is, I don't think you're supposed to submit an official thing, but they'll ask you, okay, what was your score? So that is very important, right? So keep that high, people. If you're applying for masters and then for a PhD, they might not look deeply into your analytical writing score for masters, but in a PhD 2 years later, you can use the same scores, right?
Yes.
And at that time, they will be like, oh, what was it? Oh, this, everything else is good. Quant score is very high, but you screwed up here. So sorry, that can happen. So it's very important to pay attention to that.
Excellent, excellent. So, Sarthak, of course, we would like to conclude here. And before we convey our formal vote of thanks to you, I would want you to convey your message, to all the fellow study abroad aspirants, and also, give them maybe a few reasons why they should study abroad.
Mhm. So first of all, my message is people that uh, after coming here, I feel like more of us should be here because we are definitely one of the most hardworking people, one of the most talented, and one of the most capable people. And I think that sometimes what's missing is what exactly Prashant is trying to do, right? Like provide people with some knowledge, some information on how to go abroad, how to study abroad, what are the steps you need. And that's exactly what they're doing, and which is amazing. And thank you, Prashant, for doing that. That's pretty much
Thank you,
all I
Saket.
have to
Pleasure.
share.
Pleasure. Great. Nana, any concluding notes?
Yeah, everything is said and been done. So thank you, Saket, for your time. Thank you, Prashant, sir. That is it from my side. Yeah.
Yep. Saket will bother you again because we would need
Absolutely.
your knowledge, your experience, and you
Mm,
you you are in the best place to definitely to put light on various queries time to time. And I think your
right.
contribution in the same domain would definitely be appreciated.
Absolutely. More than happy to. And thank you, Nana, for inviting me. Thank you, Prashant, for the great conversation. And thank you, everybody, for hearing me ramble on about things. Thank you.
No, it was wonderful. You were amazing, Saket, and wishing you a great and safe weekend ahead. Thank you so much,
Sure.
Saket.
Thank you. Bye bye.
So if any queries has not been answered, please drop your query on this number and we will revert you with all the answers. Thank you so much.